Hi, and welcome back to SEO On-Air. I'm your host, Aaron, and today we speak to Brandon Norman, SEO Manager at Boiling Point Media. We talk about the importance of website design, technical SEO, and Google Ads, and we also speak about AI in marketing and how it's taking over. I hope you enjoy this episode. But to kind of get into more of you and what you do itself, we have a whole list of who you were exactly. I think you started off being an advertising account executive way back in 2004. So
Right.
apart from the movies, let's say, how did
Mhm.
you get into the actual career that you're in?
Well, it was interesting. I graduated college and I was looking for a job in marketing, and I kind of fell into the yellow page industry. Now, this is an industry that's almost completely defunct at this point, but it was definitely the original Google, and in terms of directional advertising towards small, medium-sized businesses primarily, but large businesses as well. And while I was there, obviously the digital revolution happened. And so during that time, we did a lot of work in studying and getting up on the new digital trends, websites, pay per click. As that progressed, SEO. When I started marketing, SEO wasn't even a thing. It was not even invented yet. Um, so as we learned with that, we worked a lot on our clients' websites to make sure that they actually started ranking, and we started figuring out tricks and different things about the Google algorithm. And as I progressed through a couple different companies, only built upon those skills. And so I did that for a while until pretty much the yellow pages were almost completely dead, and kind of moved around a little bit from there, but always staying up on my SEO and PPC skills because those were the two areas that I could see, especially online, that were very beneficial to businesses and where they needed the most help with. If you've never done any of it, it's quite confusing. It can be quite confusing. So,
Yeah.
and then when I finally joined on with Boiling Point Media, um, that's really where I got to really release my SEO skills to work on our clients' websites. And I started out as a SEO manager and have moved up to SEO director at this point. Um,
Right.
and with that, it's just being able just to go on those websites and doing what is necessary to get them corrected and get them updated to Google standards, and seeing the results. It's been actually quite rewarding and quite interesting in some
Right.
cases too. So, but yeah, it's just been a continuous journey of learning.
And if you don't mind, can you tell us a bit more about Boiling Point Media? What exactly they do and how exactly you play a role in that?
Okay. Well, in Boiling Point Media, it's the agency side, marketing agency side of Boiling Point Media. It's really, I don't know, we like to call ourselves a creative agency, but we also focus a lot on digital marketing. We do a lot of video marketing. We even do some traditional marketing mediums still. It's a real interesting approach that we take with customers versus other agencies that I've worked at. And the biggest approach is when we look at a customer and we look at what their needs are and we look at the best avenues to go down, we'll go and implore certain avenues just to make it work. Versus other agencies that I've worked for before in the past, where they have 4 or 5 different products that they will help you with, call it pay per click, call it Facebook, whatever, but they funnel all their clients through those specific mediums. And so having the freedom to be able to sit there and look at a customer and go, you know what, Facebook might not be your best avenue. You might do better on LinkedIn. Or, maybe we should be focusing on your app instead of focusing on your website. Being able to look at those different approaches and seeing what's going to be best for the customer has really resulted well for us because most of our customers do very well with us, and the numbers and the results show that. So it's just more of a free form agency, but we're very
Right.
stickler about our product as well. All of our creative is very top notch. Our videos, I mean, a lot of people have watched our videos both online and on TV or CTV, and they can. When I've been on flights before and had this similar conversation, people will name advertisers to me or name their jingles that we created for
Right.
them. So, and just going out and, looking on the web and seeing that our clients there are, in top ranked positions for most of their top keywords, it really it really does a benefit to the client versus trying to force them down things that might be our best skills, but not might be the best for the client.
Right. And I think that's very important when you need an agency to be able to look at your client and be able to tailor fit their solutions. Instead
Yes.
of giving like a whole package deal of, hey, listen, all the solutions can be in this, you can pick and choose which one. I think that's a better approach to actually be like, hey, this is a customized approach now that will actually help you specifically.
Right. And I think the customers like it too, because, marketing can be a very difficult field to navigate. And, sometimes it's very tough to understand where your target clients are hanging out basically online, especially. And so being able to tailor to the best needs of their client to their target market overall helps the customer get the clients that they're looking for. And at the end of the day, that's what we're supposed to do as a market agency, correct?
Right. Yeah. And if we're not doing that, what are we doing?
Exactly.
But in today's climate, right, where a lot of things are changing really quickly in the digital landscape, I think Boiling Point Media has pretty much stand a test against time to pretty much provide solutions that are, still working out for each client, regardless of how the atmosphere is changing. So what would you say are some of, let's say, the contributing factors to kind of help maintain that quality? How to, let's say, improve and maintain the functionality of a website and the user experience? I'm sorry, it's a long-winded question.
A lot of it starts with planning and really understanding what the client is looking for and then planning it out on our end of what's going to be our best strategy in all the different areas of digital marketing or marketing in general that we're going to do, and looking at and kind of almost taking the approach that we're running the business, the marketing part of their business for them. So we've taken that approach of looking at it from if this was our business and we were running it as a running the marketing department on it, which we're kind of being contracted to do anyway. But looking at it from that approach, we can start looking out beyond what other influences might say, but at the same time, it really goes into the initial research, and then once we've executed that plan, continuously staying on top of that plan. Monitoring the plan, looking at the numbers, seeing where new avenues, bettering what we've done, and just continuously keeping our hands on the client. It's never a set it and forget it type of mentality.
But let's say I'm trying to make a story out of this. If I had approached you as a website owner and I came to Boiling Point Media, specifically you, I guess, to kind of help me with my own website design, what would be some tips and tricks that you would maybe suggest?
Well, now that is a little difficult without looking at your current website, of course.
Okay, so I'll give you an example of the website as well. Let's say I provide plumbing services in my city. Does that make things better?
Okay. Well, by looking at it, one thing we would do initially is we would look to see on the website how easy it is for a customer to use. A lot of flaws in websites is that there's not enough connections, or two pages are too far deep, or there's not enough linking between the pages, and a customer really has to kind of click around to try to find the information that they want to find.
Like really
That
work
does,
for it.
yeah, they have to keep going, and that just doesn't work well for the end user who's got a very short attention span when they're looking for information. They want that information quickly and to get it. So we look to see first, like, how easy is it to get to the most important pages or the most important information on the site. Once we look at that and we figure out what needs to be adjusted so that customers can get the information they need quickly, then we start looking at technical aspects of the site. We start looking at things like site speed. We start looking at page depth and URL depth. We start looking at those types of technical issues, the CLS on a site, and seeing if it's going to be conducive for a good user experience. Once we've figured out what the good user experience is, then we go into looking at the content that's on the site to see if it's actually ranking. A lot of times people put content that they just love on their website, but when you start looking at it in terms of keywords, there's no keywords in it. So it's really hard to be able to start looking at those different aspects and go, okay, well, your site's, supposed to be for a plumber, yet you don't mention plumbing anywhere on this page. so, um, so we start looking at those different types of aspects. And once we've really got those together and we've instituted plans in place to get those areas optimized and going, people really start seeing results. They can start logging on themselves and be like, all of a sudden my website's number one or number two. And it's, yeah, just making some basic content changes or, freeing up some of the SEO technical errors really does a lot of numbers, does well for not only get it ranking, but also get, the user experience there. So when somebody gets on the site, they just don't leave.
So let's say I've implemented those strategies and I've did it to the T so that there's no slight mistake somewhere or the other. I followed it all to the point, and I think I'm seeing results. But now I've done, let's say, the SEO side of it, and I want to add a bit more of PPC, because I think we spoke about how you kind of need both to really get you through. So in terms of, let's say, specifically Google Ads, how do I now maximize my ROI for this website?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would look at what keywords that we're ranking really well for and what keywords that we're not ranking really well for. And then on top of the keywords that we're ranking well for, how much competition from other people is there for those keywords? And to basically create a PPC campaign against them with the more highly competitive keywords, as well as the keywords that are not ranking as well at this time. That obviously goes in different ad groups and different ad copies. Being able to set that up that way and looking at it from that approach, you're starting to be near the top of pages, if not the very top of a page, for the best type of keywords. But then it goes beyond that, because keywords are good, but Google really, they will keep throwing more keywords into your campaign. They're always looking for new suggestions in different ways. So you got to really maintain a negative keyword list. That negative keyword list is almost as important as setting up a keyword list, because Google will absolutely eat up your budget on keywords that don't necessarily apply to you if you don't maintain this list. But then you got to look at the data once you've had it up for a little bit. And when you start seeing that you have keywords that, for say, let's say I have a lot of clicks but no conversions, well, what's going on with your landing page? And having a very complete and optimized landing page that's going towards the keywords or ad groups that you're looking for will also not only help you with getting a lower cost per click, but helping those customers convert when they actually do click on it. So it's a couple different functions there that need to be maintained and monitored at all times. But at the same time, when done, the results are good.
Yeah, and are there, let's say, some top metrics that you mainly look out for?
Well, of course, we look at conversions, because that's always a good one. We look at click-through ratio. That's usually another good one too. But other metrics that we look for, we look at the number of clicks that different keywords are getting, but we're also looking at the keywords in terms of what's really on that page. And so, for example, if we're looking at a keyword that gets a whole bunch of impressions and even a whole bunch of clicks, but it's not converting, well, what other people are on that page? What is it looking at from the user's mind? Why are they going to when they bring up the SERP for this keyword? Are we actually having an ad there that relates to the keyword and what people are going there for? Or are we just throwing an ad in so that it says, hey, click on me, we'll just take care of it for you? And so making sure that those keywords in our ad copy matches why the user used that keyword in the first place will really help whether or not you should keep that keyword or keep that or optimize your page to better for that keyword so that people will convert.
So kind of a question that I have then is that you mentioned the competition between keywords is kind of an important factor when choosing the keywords. But if we look at the PPC and paid advertising side of it, I'm probably not the only one paying to get my ads up there. There are probably other plumbing services who are also trying to use Google Ads to maximize their ROI. So is there a way to, let's say, change my campaign or improve my campaign to kind of beat the competitors as well?
Well, there is. It involves really looking at the keywords in general that you really want to rank for. And sometimes you need to make several ad groups just because, keywords for somebody looking for a plumber might be some keywords that are different that are looking for somebody to do a water heater. Now, you would call the same company to do that, but having the ad copy that is relatable to the end user is still what is going to do it. If you're somebody's looking for a water heater and your ad talks about general plumbing, well, people are going to kind of skip over that, even though you might do it both. It doesn't really resonate with the end user. So by optimizing headings and content and creating different ad groups specific towards specific keywords, sometimes it really, when an end user brings something up and they see an ad for water heater and they're trying to find somebody to do a water heater, and you've got copy that matches water heater, it resonates with them because it sounds like you're a trustworthy company, they're more likely to click on it. It's very similar to news stories in anybody's news feeds. It's almost a little bit like clickbait, but people are going to click on things that resonate with them. So
Right.
optimize those titles and optimize the information on those ads so that you're really the emotional response out of the end user is, hey, that looks like a good company, maybe I'll check them out.
In the same breath, though, and I'm kind of happy you mentioned the end user, is how exactly does AI then play a role in creating these ads for your website? Not specifically in just, let's say, creating content, but more into just the advertising part of it.
Well, AI can definitely help with being able to generate types of content that could resonate with the end user. In my experience, it needs a little bit more work still, and I think as AI continues to develop, they might start writing better ad copy. But the one thing that AI doesn't have that a human user has is they know how to personalize the information towards what the end user is looking for. I mean, if you asked an AI service to write you have a title tag for a page or a heading copy for a PPC ad, it'll do something that's very factual. And that's great. The factual piece of it is good, but people don't really, the facts aren't as important to them as feeling. And so being able to add a little bit of personalization, address a need or an issue. Sometimes, depending on the market, you want to offer a discount or something. By being able to personalize that just a little bit more than having a factual piece of content up there will help to get that user to click on you versus somebody else. So AI, I think AI is great. I'm not actually have anything bad to say about AI. It's a wonderful tool. But at the same time, it's a tool that needs to be used by a human to be able to achieve the end result that you're looking for.
This might be a bit of a curveball question, though, but in terms of, let's say, satisfying the end user with, let's say, purely AI generated content, where do you stand on the ethics of that? Of whether or not we should be either putting out content without mentioning that it's completely AI, or if we should put it out and also mention that this was AI was used?
It could go either way on that, I feel, because a lot of AI generated content is content that they have scanned from other websites out there.
Right.
If we're writing a page or a blog or something about how to change a water heater, well, there's plenty of websites and videos out there that has that information, so it's pulling from that. Now, I feel that some of these websites should be credited and cited. Yes, we don't want to just steal content from anybody, but to have the AI content say that it was from AI, I guess if it was fully written by AI, that'd be one thing. But I have found that fully written AI content still doesn't have that humanization touch to it. So a lot of times, even when I'm writing, have AI write content for me, I'll have it write out the bulk of it, so I don't have to do a lot of research on something that I don't know a lot about. For example, we just wrote one for an insulation company about blown-in insulation. Now I'm in marketing. I don't know much about blown-in insulation.
Right.
So, but in the past, I would have gone out to other websites, collected information about blown-in information, written out my piece, and published that. Whereas AI went and did all that busy work for me, put it in there, and then what I was able to do on top of that is go back through, personalize it for the client, personalize it for the end user. Actually put some citation links from other websites that I saw that were ranking high, so that there's at least some content like this. There are other sites that can verify this information, and I think that works as much better. In fact, and on that blown-in insulation one, once we got done putting up that blog, it was within 30 days that blog was ranked number 2 overall in his local area. So, but it has all the same information and content that you would see in the other blogs or content pages that were on the SERP. So, AI is a good tool, and it should only be used as a tool. And I think that as AI develops and starts including references with it, that will really help to legitify AI generated content moving forward. In fact, Google at their I/O meeting yesterday talked about how Bard's going to be using citation links in when they put AI generated content up. I think that's a huge plus, because you don't want AI just ripping off everybody's content out there and then you having plagiarized content on your site. But if you're citing content from a specific site, then that should, just like any other paper, should be referenced in your blog or content piece.
And it's that feeling of I wouldn't say plagiarism as such, but it's more of like just stealing content technically and pretending it's your own. One of the issues that we also technically saw, because we've been really trying to get into AI a lot, is that with ChatGPT still providing, let's say, the best version of a particular content, Bing AI has been already giving a lot of references and links and citations. I think when we tried using Bard, however, they didn't really give a reference. They kind of just added like things also found on Google or related searches to this. So keeping all that in mind, do you still, let's say, rank ChatGPT at the top of these AI tools, or do you feel like it's only a matter of time since they're all at their own levels and different paths?
Well, I like ChatGPT. Don't get me wrong. I think it does a pretty good job. I haven't been able to get into the Bing AI bot just yet, and as I was reading just the other day, there's like 2,000 different AI services out there available. Some are targeted towards different things. Some are in development and all this kind of different stages of life. Let's just put it that way. But I think that right now, with the market as saturated as it is, the companies who really work to improve their AI so that it provides the best user experience, has the most accurate content, respects privacy, respects borrowing content from sites, content coming from other sites. The more it can do that, those AI companies are going to come out ahead at the end. There's always going to be competition, but there won't be 2,000 sites. It'll be closer to like 20 or 30 or 40, So, the AI companies really, they're still in the early stages of development, and it's a really cool tool that people are using right now. But to say who's the best, I don't know. I don't want to put one ahead of the other because they all have their issues too. It's real easy to look at all the positives, but it's also real easy. There's a lot of negatives that go with it as well, and that's just with any sort of product out there. That's just the early development stages of a product, and so everybody's working out their kinks, and it'll just be interesting to see how this AI continues to develop into time and makes it so that it's a better product for everybody to use, and everybody gets the credit that they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, all in good time, hopefully. I think they had a little meeting amongst leaders, I believe, to kind of put a pause on AI development. I think that was a couple of months back, but I don't think people are sticking to that. There are more and more companies trying to fight each other with the AI. ChatGPT came out, and then there were automatically the AI detecting tools. And then there were the competition for them, which were the humanizing AI tools. So it's you have companies using AI to defeat AI content, and then companies using AI to kind of promote more AI content. So it's a very weird and I don't know, conflicted atmosphere right now. But I'm glad that at least we're on the same page where we can still use it as a tool and not like a replacement for people.
Well, and on that same note, and I was talking with somebody about this the other day, is let's just take, you have that plumber, and they all, let's say in your area, you've got 5 plumbers, and they all sell water heaters and water heater installation. So if all 5 use AI to generate the content on their site and looking at the same type of information, well, you're going to have 5 sites that basically have the same information. So how does a search engine start to really say, well, this site's better than this site, or this site has more authority than this site? How do they really start separating that out when they know that the people are not writing the content themselves?
Yeah. I think I will turn the question back on you. How do they figure that out?
Well, I mean, that's a part of being an SEO is always trying to figure out what Google's doing next, right? So,
Yeah.
but I think where that's my answer on that would be actually that's where the human SEO actually comes into play. Being able to
Right.
link to high quality stories, the linking within your own sites, the structured data you put on there, being the personalization towards a human versus just being factual data.
Right.
Um, being able to add pictures with good alt tags and, all the technical SEO pieces of it. Those extra pieces right there is what's going to separate 5 pieces of content on 5 different sites in terms of ranking.
Okay.
So,
And you
and
kind of
that's why
mentioned
AI,
that.
and that's why I really feel AI is never really going to replace human work on this because if AI is writing everything, then why would you even have more than one plumbing website out there?
Right. It's pretty much the same website but slapped with a different name.
Right.
But I was going to jump in and ask, you mentioned how some AI tools are currently being used at Boiling Point Media. But I wanted to know, is it really helping in terms of just content creation, or does it also help in terms of marketing as well?
I would
And
say
how?
that the biggest piece is really just in production work because I mean, right, being able to get the bulk of that information, being able to put it into a content piece and publish it, be able those things right there that really cuts down on the time that we are spending on research for something that once we write the piece, especially at a marketing agency where we have lots of clients, we're not we ourselves are not going to really retain or use. I mean, I write a marketing
Right.
piece about a water heater. Well, I might change the water heater once in my life, maybe twice. So,
Right.
with that being said, me going out there and finding all that information doesn't really benefit me. Plus, it takes a lot of time away where I could be focusing not only on the client at hand, but other clients that I have in there. So, being able to cut down on the time it takes to do the research and to develop that type of content, I think that's the biggest benefit to me. Um, but in terms of other aspects in our agency right now, um, it's really we're getting better. We're really getting better results at the end of the day with human interaction and being able to do that. It's going to be. I mean, we've seen all the AI chat boxes on everybody's websites, and even on, you can actually set up messages like on your Google business profile where they can have automated responses. But AI
Right.
isn't to a point yet where they can have a full conversation with an end user, be able to answer their questions, and then be able to get them to convert. It's still kind of pre-programmed answers. So, with that being said, you still need that. You still need human interaction in there because AI is not human. That's why it's called AI.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it can't replace humans because again, it's literally artificial that way. You really need the real deal to get it done.
and
So
and I really feel AI has only barely scratched the top of the surface right now. As they dig deeper, it might get to that point sometime. But as you mentioned with the conference a couple months ago about people like wanting AI or stopping AI, that debate's only continuing as AI further develops.
yeah, and the people who don't really know much about it will be just like against it because of their how do I put this funnily, because of the Skynet intentions.
Yes, and there's that feel, nobody wants to turn on Skynet.
Yeah, accidentally you just find out bot is the new Skynet, and it's like, whoa, wait, I just want to know the recipe for a chicken dinner.
Exactly. Exactly.
But for those people who are, let's say, in the same kind of field where AI can help them a lot, and they are, let's say, a bit doubtful of whether it'll be replacing them. You and I both know that it does need that human touch, but what are some things you could tell these content writers or people who are working, I wouldn't say menial jobs, but people who have these jobs that could be automated? What are some words of wisdom you can tell them about AI?
Um, well, first of all, I would learn how to use the AI as a benefit in your current position. But I would also say that if you're really in a industry where, or in a job within an industry, I guess I should say, where your job could be replaced completely with AI, and got to really think about that because, AI has got a long way to go before they can even replace somebody like a administrative assistant. Okay,
Right,
administrative assistant really can't be replaced with AI.
right,
And although an administrative assistant doesn't, it does a lot of tasks that sometimes are deemed remedial. They're very important tasks to the company, and AI can't do that. I would say, though, for the administrative assistant, is to learn how to harness AI a little bit to help you with your everyday tasks. And if you're in an industry, though, that where AI has a very, very, very real possibility of change, of replacing your job, I would say I would start learning about other aspects of your company and start figuring
right.
out how you can move up or you can see opportunities, try to find a new place. Because, and again, even use AI as a tool because since the dawn of time, jobs have been historically been replaced with new technology.
Right.
So as technology develops, everybody, and technically all of us are in danger of losing a job at some point. It
Right.
won't be long before the kind of quoted old movie Max Headroom, where you've got a Max Headroom and it's a completely AI generated person running a talk show.
I
Even a talk
was
show host could be replaced at some point with an AI generated person.
I was actually going to say that we've actually found a few AI tools to make that possible, to create an actual 3D effect of a person.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, do you think that I am? Because I could be technically. Have you not seen
Well,
the glitches
that,
on the side?
considering we've only ever talked through a computer, I'm sure that it's very real and possible. That is a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't think you are though. You have certain characteristics that I could tell that in your movements and in the coloring on your clothes and other things that
That was all
AI just
programmed
can't
in
fully
there.
duplicate
Good to know that at least I come off as human.
yet.
Um, there have been moments though where I've come across few AI, let's say, examples or experiments, and I just didn't know where I stood on it exactly. In terms of helping you out with your work, I'm a huge fan of it because I've been using it a lot for my own day to day. Even in personal life, when I wanted to, let's say, get into a really good gym routine, I kind of put up a whole diet plan on ChatGPT to make it work. So in those aspects of just the good side of it has always been there, but there's always the negative side of it too, with let's say plagiarism of content, taking other people's ideas technically in terms of artwork as well. There have been malicious intent as well, where people have re-recorded people's voices to make like emergency calls for people as well. So with that whole, I think this will be the last question for the AI topic. But with the whole atmosphere being both radically good and a bit of bad, do you feel like in the next, let's say, 5 years' time, we'll have a bigger grasp on what AI is doing and have more good than bad? Or do you feel like that's going to be just up to the humans to decide?
Well, I would certainly hope so. That we'd have more good and bad. And I'm being an optimist, and I would always hope that we as humans on this earth can start finding ways to do good versus do bad. Unfortunately, what I've seen since really, the year 2000, when more people were starting to get onto the internet, is
And
people have used to develop viruses. They have computer viruses. They have figured out ways to rob banks and steal information and sell illicit items on the web. And there's plenty of people out there who have done a lot of negative things and still do to this day. And I mean, you're always hearing about new viruses coming out or new hacking schemes or those types of things that a lot of companies are always wondering about the protection of their own internet information. And there's a plethora of companies out there that are designed just to do nothing more than try to give your business internet security. so,
Yeah.
um, so with that being said, I mean, it's like I said, I really hope that people can harness the good out of this, because just like the internet, there is a lot of good on the internet.
Right.
But at the same time, I hope that with people wanting to be illicit or to think, do bad things out there, that's going to be a real challenge for AI, who can help speed up that process. No different than it helps me speed up the process of writing a content page. So
Right.
yeah, it's going to be real interesting how that plays out. And I really don't even know how big companies like Google and Bing are going to be
Right.
able to alter their AI to stop people from doing things like creating a computer virus. I mean, I'd be interested. I've never tried this, but I'd be interested to go into Chat GPT and ask it if it could write me a
Hey,
computer
can you?
virus.
Right. Yeah. There are people who have actually used ChatGPT to create code to help them hack into other software. So it's not too far off already from what's happening.
Right.
Um, I do know that if I keep talking about AI, we will again have a new topic. I mean, a new podcast just
No,
on
I
AI
got you. I
now.
got you.
But to kind of like again, I'll just give like an exit statement for that. Is that I don't know if this will be wholly accepted by the public, but I feel like there should be some type of, let's say, international AI laws that can be maybe instilled to. I don't know how they're going to do that and make sure everyone follows it. But I feel like that's the only kind of way to keep people within the guidelines and not get them drifting too farther away into the malicious side of things.
Right. Well, and part of that too is going to fall on the AI creators. I
Right.
mean, if you're going to put that out there, what are your safeguards?
Yeah, exactly. To kind of take a little break, I don't know if we spoke about this in the pre-podcast call, but I kind of asked two to three, not fun questions, but more casual questions that aren't really on the questionnaire. They're pretty simple, and I don't know if you should answer now or we can keep it at the end of the call because it might be a bit curvy. I would normally ask, what are your three suggestions for books for our readers and viewers to check out? And three podcasts that you would recommend our listeners and viewers.
All right. Well, I don't really listen to podcasts, so
Cool. No
that
worries.
wouldn't be there. And really, I look at more information articles online than I do books.
Okay.
So in terms of things to look at online for to help you with SEO, um, really the three sites that have really helped me over the years. One is Neil Patel. Neil Patel does a great job of explaining SEO, how to write things, how to do things. You can learn a whole lot from doing nothing more than reading Neil Patel's blogs. On that same aspect, Yoast. Yoast is a great beginner's tool. And it's actually a great tool to use altogether, but the information that they have on their blogs is a great tool to really start getting understanding why you need to do certain aspects of SEO and how to do it
Right.
effectively. So those two I would recommend. If you did nothing more than read blogs by by Neil Patel and Yoast, you will do
You're
and follow
good to
what they
go.
say. You're going to do pretty good. Okay.
All right. All
the,
right.
the the third thing that I read, and I read it every day, is a periodical from a company called Search Engine Land. And it's just more of a news brief of what's going on in the SEO world. It does touch on PPC and social media as well sometimes, but it really lets you know what's going on, what's in the current, what's being changed, those kinds of things. And I find it to be a really good one. Now I know there's several SEO periodicals out there online, but I would say reading that and continuously learning, those three things would really help somebody. And overall, though, just keep learning.
Right.
There is always more to learn. There's always things to check out. Check out different forum sites like Reddit. Sometimes you get good information there. Check out other blogs written by people. Randomly when you search a topic about an SEO topic.
Yeah.
Um, you just don't know what you'll pick up or other things that you'll learn out there, or about plugins you didn't know existed for your WordPress site that would really
Right.
benefit, because they're not the most popular plugins out there, they're not the most marketed plugins out there, but they do wonderful things. So That's
And
what
there's
I
no
would say.
lack of resources. Like if you just spend a little bit of time searching on the internet, you will find more than enough resources to learn and tools to pretty much help you do what you need to do.
Most definitely. I mean, SEO is not a topic that's really taught at a lot of colleges and universities.
Right.
I mean, there's some out there who have classes in it, or they have a general overview class in it. But you'll learn a lot more by reading, what's going on from companies who do it and people who do it all the time.
To kind of segue that into, let's say, the more technical side of SEO, if I am learning a bit more about it, there are, I think, a few basic details I can get in while creating my website. But some things like structured data and schema markup aren't really, it's still something you do have to research before you actually implement it to your newly created website. So this is going to be a two-part question. One is, what exactly is structured data schema markup, and give a bit of an explanation on the advantages of it. And two, how exactly can we use that to our advantage?
All right. Well,
It's
schema.
basically one question, but like, yeah.
Yeah, well, schema is just another way that Google looks at your website. Google looks at your website many different ways, and one of the things that you can help it do right from the very beginning is have schema in your code, because the code is usually the schema code is generally at the very top of your code of the page. So when Google starts reading what's going on the site, it's one of the first things that it learns. Now, schema is very much like a bullet point notes, but there is different fields that it's looking for, and there's of course all different kinds of schema out there. So you kind of have to do some research out there to see what schemas are available that are specific to your website or specific to things that you have on your website, to even get to find the schemas that are going to be best for you. I know there's companies like Yoast, for example. They put very basic schema on there, organizational schema on there, which is good. It gives some very good basics, but it doesn't do things like it can't have organizational schema and multi-location schema and review schema and site link search box schema. That list obviously goes on. So going out there and finding out what those schemas are and how they work for your site, how they can work for your site, and then being able to fill it out properly. It puts that information at the very beginning of what Google looks at, and when the Google bot reads that information, it's more complete and knows what to look for before it starts going into your title tags and meta descriptions and alt tags and heading tags and all those kinds of things, which are all contributing factors to how Google reads your site. But schema is very important, and those sites that we've been able to add more schemas to and more relevant schemas to, we've seen them quite surge in rankings, just because Google gets a better understanding, and it shows that you're more dedicated to your website. A lot of
Right.
people make a website and it's set and forget it, and they look at their website maybe once a year when the sales rep comes in and tells them they can make it better. So
Guilty as charged.
but the Google bot can see that you have these various schemas on there on top of use of many different SEO tactics, it kind of shows the Google bot that you care about your website, and because you care, it cares. And so a lot of times, of course, things have to be done right, but it'll help reward you just because it's showing that you want to be active in this internet world.
So this might be a bit of more hypothetical than an actual example. Let's say I have this website already, plumbing services. We've done everything technically on this call to ensure that website is optimized in a good way. In terms of mainly, I think, content and the basics of SEO. Currently, right now, I've done the schema and what is it? Structured data markup and all. But here's the situation. I have now kind of got my website to rank in the top, let's say, half of the page, but I'm not getting enough clicks. I think a few issues could be the site speed and performance on mobile. But what are some other factors that I can probably look into to make sure that I can get my click-through rate to increase?
Well, I mean, obviously, you want to look at the information that you have presenting. I mean, and you might even have somebody else look at it, just because, seeing what somebody else other than what you have written down might sometimes lead insight into how you can better adjust the verbiage of what you have written. You might have all the right keywords in there and you might have everything right, but if you're sometimes, even if you just read it out loud, you're like, oh, that doesn't really make sense, or that doesn't really entice me.
Right.
But the other thing I would say too is, I mean, you're starting to get on page one, with your site, and it's not like, a very competitive heading. One thing that people sometimes overlook is backlinks.
Right.
And so, when you start looking at the number of backlinks that sites in 1, 2, and 3 have versus sites in 7, 8, 9 and beyond have, a lot of times you will see a noticeable difference. And
Yeah.
those with more quality backlinks, more quality backlinks onto the site are going to do better than those who the only backlinks on there are scraper sites and link farms.
Right. The
So, and
quality
of
of the
course,
backlinks matter, obviously.
the quality of the backlinks matter. And yeah, you want to get backlinks from, Yahoo News and, University of North Carolina and other, top ranked news sites and universities and these other sites that are authority scores that are, 90 to 100. Those are always, you want to get those, but those also are very hard to obtain. So
Right.
going out there and just getting a lot of backlinks from other sites will help boost it up as a whole. I mean, it's real easy. You can start out there with going out and getting backlinks from directory sites and social media sites. Those are usually pretty easy ones to get up and established. But then you want to start looking at sites that also within your industry, best of sites that have lots of blogs, things like that will help you to get those as well. Set up Google alerts and see who is mentioning your business or mentioning your industry, and see if you can reach out to the publishers and see if they can include your site. They won't, they won't always do it, but sometimes you get them to do it and it works well. So, and also you want to look at what kind of anchor text is also coming to your site. If the anchor text from links coming to your site says worst plumbing business, well, that's probably not good anchor text that you want to have coming to your site, But if you have anchor text, best plumbing business in Ohio, then all of a sudden it starts, ranking to your site a little bit better. The other thing I would say, which even though, Google's, I've heard John Moo say this a few times, that you don't really have to worry about your disavow list. Well, I kind of beg to differ, and when I go through and I create the disavow list and I really get rid of those scraper sites and those junk sites altogether out there and upload a disavow list, I've seen my average position move up. I mean,
Right.
I think the best one I ever had to move 10 points, but usually you can get to move 4, 5, 6 points in average position just by cleaning up your disavow list. So backlinks are important. And I also know it's kind of like going out and trying to find new clients. Sometimes, you have to talk to a lot of people to get a backlink and find different places to create backlinks and new strategies and all that. It can be a full-time job. I absolutely get it. But those websites who do it, they tend to rank higher.
I was going to say, giving a more real-time example, if let's say you were to acquire backlinks and you don't really have the time or energy, let's say, to kind of put in that manual effort to reach out to so many people or just a few people to get those backlinks back. How much would you advise then to, let's say, approach an agency that would do that as a service then?
Oh, I would highly advise it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's pretty much what we do.
Yeah, we do that a lot for people who, we've had several clients who want us to focus more on backlinks than any other aspect of their site.
Right.
But at the same time, don't go out there and pay for backlinks. Don't pay the backlink services to put you on a bunch out there, because Google will figure that out. They might not figure it out, week 1 or week 2, but they will figure it out.
They will. Right.
So, but yeah, paying somebody to go, paying an agency or somebody to do nothing more than try to go out there and get backlinks, that would be advisable if you don't have time to do it. I mean, even at our agency, with all of our clients who have an SEO plan, we dedicate an hour on their SEO to do nothing more than at least go out and get some backlinks. And so in an hour, we can usually reach out to 5, 10, sometimes a few more companies and get some real traction going on backlinks being built. But it takes that dedicated time.
And speaking of dedicated time, I'm assuming it takes around the same kind of energy to pretty much do a full audit on a website to see if there are any broken links or duplicated content. So
Yeah.
is that another factor then that we should probably be, I mean, kind of an obvious question then, but like what are some of, let's say, common fixes to that issue then, or quick fixes maybe?
Quick fixes to doing a website audit.
Yeah, I don't think there are
Okay.
quick fixes.
Well, I mean, website audits are usually one of the first things that we do when we gain a website.
Right.
It ranks up there with doing the keyword research and understanding the customer's overall goals with SEO. And I'll go through and I usually do a technical audit, and I've actually made myself a worksheet. It's got about 25 different areas that we look at, and we kind of look at the current state. Then based upon that, figure out the order of which needs to be fixed first and needs to be optimized first, and go through and just start working down the worksheet on that. Being organized really helps in SEO, by the way. But doing the website audit really leads to SEO strategy at that point. Because I've had plenty of sites where I go in and there's no metadata on anybody's. Right. I've gone in and the title tags are nothing more than the name of the page, which sometimes works and a lot of times doesn't. So just using very basic, examples right there, we could sit there and go, okay, now we've done our keyword research. Let's look at the meta descriptions here. What's our focus keywords for the page, and start optimizing just different areas and just kind of knock it out one by one. Okay. And as you just start knocking them out one by one, we see it right on SEO software. It just starts incrementally tracking up. And so, we don't have, none of our clients pay us to be full-time SEO 30 days a week, or 30 days a month. That would, you might as well hire your own employee at that point. But the work that we get done, they see the incremental rankings go up, and of course they see it with conversions on their sites. So, but yeah, I would say in terms of the site audit, that should be one of the very first things done, and get that current state and what needs to be done, and then pick the importance of what needs to be done.
So we've talked a lot about backlinks and how they are an important factor, and we kind of do need the high quality backlinks instead of just any old backlink. But what are some, let's say, strategies to make sure that you're getting the right ones? You're monitoring and analyzing the profiles as well to avoid penalties.
Well, the first thing I would say is invest in some software. At my agency, we use SEMrush. It's pretty good. I've used Neil Patel and Ahrefs before in the past. They're all pretty good too. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, but they all tend to have a backlink profile checker. And that would be the first thing, is to go through your backlinks and see what websites out there that are connected to your website are actually real legitimate websites, and what are actually just scraper sites or link farms or anything else. Update that disavow list and get those junk websites off of there. And don't be afraid to keep, smaller websites too. We've got, all of our clients have a lot of websites that have an authority score less than 20 on there. And they're from, smaller businesses or private people, just who happen to reference our article or our site or our business in their thing. That they're not bad. They're not going to provide a whole lot of boost for you, but having those on there still shows connectivity to the web with Google. The other thing I would say to do is, and you can do this with a lot of these SEO software companies, is you can check out the backlinks of other people's websites. So if you're taking that plumber situation, you're currently in position 8, and you're looking at the plumber in position 1, well, just check out what backlinks they're getting. And maybe, if get on the sites that they are, and, they're going to have some junk backlinks on there too. So you still have to kind of filter it. But at the same time, it starts lending light like, oh, what about this site? I've never heard of it, and get on there. Or, oh, they got this company to write an article about them. Well, maybe we can get that company have them write an article about us. It's a great way to be able to expand your scope of where you're getting influence from. And then that will help as well and boost it up. And the other thing, I know a lot of people say stay away from forums. I actually disagree with that. We have lots of clients who have links in forums where people have, referenced blogs on their site or referenced products on their site. And, a few forum links isn't going to do it. But once you start getting, lots of forum links, that really does actually help you.
Right.
So I mean, again, you have to figure out which forums are legitimate, which forums are junk, just like anything else. But look at those sites too, because at the end of the day, the more backlinks that you have that are quality and good, the better. And when you can get high quality backlinks on top of it, then that's icing on the
Even more
cake.
better.
So
Right. But we've kind of talked we've kind of talked about quite a few tools and the different ones. And we all know that they have like different purposes and they can be used for, in general, just the growth of your website. But how exactly do you kind of use all of them to kind of streamline the same digital marketing strategy that you have? This is more of like, how do you merge and streamline it, basically?
okay, well, yeah, there is a lot of tools out there. A
Hmm.
lot of tools. A lot of them are paid. A lot of them are um, um, free. Some are just,
Some are
so, some are just,
SEO specific, some are content specific.
some are content specific, and you really need to know like how to use the tools, because when you can learn how to use the tools properly, then you can start figuring out how you start getting better results as a whole. For example, let's say that you wanted to improve the quality of your title tags, just to pick something kind of basic, right?
Right.
Well, Sam Rush is good at identifying, you're looking at your site and showing you which pages are missing title tags, which have duplicate title tags, even title tags that are, duplicate of your H1 tags on the site. So
Right.
it's good at identifying that, but it won't tell you how to enter a new title tag or even how to keyword optimize it. you
Right.
know SEMrush does have a keyword tool, and I'm not sure if all sites have a keyword tool at this point, but today I really find that Google's keyword tool is better, or actually just use data from a PPC campaign that you have running for the client, because
Right.
those will actually give you a lot of good information as well. So now you got the information for your title tags, and you can build your new title tag the way you want. Then you can upload it real easy, especially if you're using a WordPress site, like using a program like Yoast. But Shopify has a nice little section where you can enter an SEO optimized title tag, and other platforms do too. And
Right.
then you go back to SEMrush or Google Analytics, and over time, watch how the keyword rankings change for that page and the page visits increase. Um, but again, none of one of these tools or software programs has something that covers everything. So,
Right.
for different tasks, you need different things. I mean, besides the tools I mentioned above, I use Screaming Frog to identify linking to a page. I use Site Checker Pro to check my keyword density and what the H tags are on the page. And I mean, I have a Chrome extension to easily see alt tags. And so, you got to learn how to use the tools specifically for different scenarios and for purposes. And once you've figured out how to use those tools and tools properly, then they really become effective, and you start driving some really good results.
And you kind of mentioned Google Analytics, but then in the same realm of Google Search Console and the trends as well, um, are they I wouldn't say that are they the best choices for insights, but how do you use those tools to gain the insights to then implement on your site, to then improve whatever strategy you were using before? I think you kind of briefly touched on it, but like I'm looking for a more detailed answer, I guess.
Oh, most definitely. So, Google Analytics and Google Search Console can really show you some good trends on what people are searching for currently. They can show you things like keyword searches that are coming to your site. They can show you which pages are getting more viewed more than others, or if there's been a bump in a page. It's good for that stuff. And Google Trends. Oh, I really like Google Trends, by the way. But Google Trends, and actually there is a tool on Google Ads too, that Insights tool, that will kind of show you. Will show you what people are searching for in the here and now. And so I use those a lot, really, especially for blog topics. But you can also identify it for other aspects of a business if it applies, and be able to create content pages on the site, because let's say, it's becoming Memorial Day weekend and you sell fireworks. Okay. And, you can start seeing, if you're starting to look at what you're going to do 2 or 3 months ahead of time, and you start to see that fireworks are starting to trend, but people are looking for, specifically Roman candles, for example, right?
Yeah.
You can start writing blogs and content pages that like, hey, you know what? Here about here's all about Roman candles and how we can help and all that. That can start get up in rankings, so that when you do get up to that Memorial Day, and being the next holiday
Yeah.
here, that where people are, you're going to be at the top of the search results in a shorter amount of time because you're writing content that people want in the here and now versus content that people will grab generally here and there. And so trends is great for identifying that. Google Search Console can help with that. Google Analytics and Google Ads, if you have a paid campaign, can help with that as well. But just being able to recognize what's trending amongst your target market or in your area can really help just shift your strategy just a little bit, even if it's only in the short term, to be able to capture more of that market and better your profits as a whole.
So does the same basically apply to, let's say, an e-commerce store where they can pretty much, do they have the same kind of tactic where they can use these tools to better their competitive edge? Or is it
Almost
kind of
definitely.
similar to?
Yeah, you can do the same thing. I mean, if you sell widgets online and there's an Google Trends shows that people are looking for purple widgets. Well, you might have widgets in all sorts of colors, but you're like, oh, well, the trend's towards purple widgets. You can start creating content specifically for purple widgets and direct people over to your product page, and all of a sudden, people are buying more purple widgets off of you where you weren't selling that before. And so, yeah, I mean, it can definitely help when you look at trends of products, especially your products, on things like Google Trends and on Insights. So, or sometimes, let's say you don't sell purple widgets, but all of a sudden there's an increase for purple widgets, and it's an easy shift in what your products that you
Right.
have offer. All of a sudden, you start putting stuff out about sell some purple widgets.
As simple as that.
It really is. In fact, in some ways, it actually works a little bit better for e-commerce because you have products that you're selling right there. So
Right.
you can start seeing trends in different products, or if you start seeing a product is really dropping off, you could stop focusing your energies on something that's really just dropping off as a market condition, and focus on things that are market conditions, and better yourself as a whole on that.
Full disclosure, though, we've kind of talked a lot, about a lot of SEO tools and just tools in general. But one that I have a more personal, I think, doubt on is Yext. I want to know more about that and just what exactly it is, to be honest, and how it can really help out. Because every other tool you mentioned, up until the one that I mentioned, I've pretty much used and heard of at least. But Yext was a bit kind of new to me, so I want to get that angle of what exactly it can do to help.
Well, our agency, we've used Yext, and we've used Yext through product resellers before. Um, it's an interesting tool because for most of the sites that are listed on Yext, we get no traffic off of, none at all.
Right.
I mean, I look at it all the time. The companies send me reports, and I mean, I'm lucky to get one click. I'm just saying,
Okay.
But these sites too, one thing it does help in a certain way that one, it puts congruent information, your name, address, phone number information out on the web, which is then taken by other companies who pull off those sites, and it helps to spread your information out that way. The other big benefit that I have found from that is grabbing backlinks. I mean,
Okay.
you can reach out to like Yext has about 65 to 70 sites that they cover depending on your industry, because there's a few sites they have on there your industry just won't, like, your industry doesn't qualify for. So but depending on your industry, there's about 65 to 70 sites that your site will qualify for to get on. Well, Yext makes it real easy to get a backlink, and sometimes two backlinks from there. So
And are these still, let's say, good quality backlinks, or these are just you get a backlink,
you get a
whether it's good or
backlink.
bad?
It's usually a site that's between 20 and 40 on the domain authority scale.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not going to be as good as getting a backlink from, Google News.
Right.
But at the same time, it puts out more backlinks, and they do have a review monitoring piece on there, like a software monitoring of reviews.
Okay.
We've used it a little, and I know they're pushing it out there a little bit more. It just provides more places for your website to be able to or your company to be reviewed on. But mainly the backlink piece of it is what's advantageous to me. And so having that out there and being able to get those backlinks in, that really helps out more with Yext.
Yeah.
Versus having to go out and try to put it on there yourself, which some of the sites that Yext has, you can't even put it on there without using Yext. So, I would say that there is benefit to it, to Yext as a whole. But is it going to be a main driver of traffic? Probably not.
Okay. So, but it's mainly good to pretty much get a good amount of exposure and to maybe boost a bit of SEO, I guess.
Yeah, you get an SEO boost out of it. You get a little bit more exposure. It can help take up some of those other spots lower on page one and on page 2 and 3, where your name will pop up versus somebody else's if you have current information on there. But I mean, a lot of people are not going to somebody's sites because they want to check to see if the business is open. They just grab it right from your Google Business Profile. And I would say at the end of the day, your Google Business Profile, your Bing Places profile, and your Apple Maps listings those are your 3 biggest ones that you want to absolutely make sure you have filled out, maintained, updated, everything else. So I would if you're limited on resources, I would say focus on those 3. But if you're able to go out and try to obtain more backlinks and you want to correct your information online and across the web, Yext is really good for that.
So thanks, Brandon, for the chat. It's been really intuitive that way. I've learned quite a bit compared to, let's say, the other podcasts that I've done. I didn't really expect to learn this much more. But thank you. It's been really entertaining.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And, it's been fun, very much fun talking with you, Aaron.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.